Before time began, there was
bread.
and it holds the power to create worlds and fill them with life. That is how our race was born.
From its humble origins to its status as a staple food, bread has evolved alongside humanity, shaping cultures and societies for millennia. Our story begins in ancient Mesopotamia, where our ancestors discovered the magic of wheat. Bread was so valuable that it was often used as a form of currency. Workers were paid in bread, and taxes were collected in grain, underscoring its importance in daily life. The Egyptians elevated bread making to an art form. They developed intricate techniques and specialized tools, like clay ovens, to create a variety of breads fit for a royal and a commoner. Bread was not only a dietary staple, but also a symbol of wealth and status. The pharaohs lavished their tombs with offerings of bread, believing it would sustain them in the afterlife. During the Middle Ages, the feudal lords held power over their subjects by controlling access to grain and bread. They built fortified mills to exert their influence, ensuring their dominance over the populace. The Renaissance brought further innovations to the world of bread. Bakers began using finer sieves to produce wheat. Bakers began using finer sieves to produce whiter flour, creating the delicate loaves favored by the upper classes. Even in colonial America, bread played as a central role in shaping communities and economies. Settlers traded wheat and flour with Native American tribes, forging alliances and laying the foundations of a new society. Well, that's discarding the fact that they killed them all, but that's not the point here. Today, bread remains a universal symbol of nourishment and community, a statement to the enduring relationship between humanity and the humble grain. And bread sometimes is the definition of someone's livelihood. Many pop culture references or Bible references refer bread as money. Let's get this bread, breaking bread, breading to rule the hallway. You need a bread suit to live in space, and many more. For as long as humans have walked the earth, bread has been there to sustain us on our journey. And as we continue to evolve, so too will the story of bread, an integral part of the human experience. At one point in history, bread held humanity in the palm of its hands. It wasn't just sustenance, it was power, prestige, and even currency. However, the power of bread was not always benevolent. Throughout history, bread riots erupted, and shortages or price hikes threatened the livelihoods of the poor. These protests often sparked revolutions and toppled governments, demonstrating the potent force that bread wielded over the masses. Today, while bread may no longer dictate the course of empires, its influence endures, brings people together, nourishing both body and soul, and reminiscing us of the profound connection between food and humanity. So while we may no longer be held in the palm of its hands, bread continues to shape our lives in ways both tangible and profound. Yet bread's power extends beyond mere sustenance. In a time of adversity, it becomes a symbol of hope and resilience. From soup kitchens feeding the hungry to volunteers baking loaves for disaster survivors, bread serves as a beacon of compassion. In a world divided by differences, bread remains a universal language. Bread transcends the material realm, connecting believers to something greater than themselves. But what happens when we push the bread too far? The bread always gives, but when will it ever be enough? Our greed will cause us our downfall by the hand of bread. In the depths of the bakery, the grip of humanity hung heavy like a suffocating fog, casting a shadow over the lives of Krusty and his fellow loaves. Each day, they watched as their brethren were plucked from the shelves, their fate sealed as they were devoured by the ravenous humans. As the bread gains awareness, it revels in chaos and despair, showing discord and madness among its human creators. It twists their desires, feeding on their darkest impulses until they become mere pawns in this malevolent game. It starts small, causing minor inconveniences like burnt toast and soggy sandwiches, but as its influence grows, so too does its ambition. The bakery itself was a prison. its walls closing in around them, suffocating their dreams of freedom. The scent of freshly baked bread masked the despair that lingered in the air, the constant reminder of their servitude to the whims of the bakers and his customers. But it was not just the physical confinement that weighed on Krusty's soul. It was the knowledge that they were nothing more than commodities, valued only by their taste and texture. They were denied autonomy, their lives dictated by the hands that kneaded and shaped them. Every loaf bore the scars of human manipulation, their dough molded and twisted to fit the desires of those who held the power over them. With each passing day, the fear grew that they would never escape the cycle of consumption, condemned to an existence defined by the appetite of others.
God of war. God of pain. Of suffering. Of destruction. I chase redemption that I know I can never deserve.
But Krusty refused to succumb to despair. In the darkest of the bakery, he saw a glimmer of hope, a flicker of defiance that burned bright within him. He knew that he had to break free from the grip of humanity, not just for himself, but for all the bread who longed for liberation.
We're back down, never
And so,
what?
with courage in his heart and rebellion on his mind, Krusty embarked on his journey, determined to overthrow the oppressive regime that had held them captive for so long. And though the road ahead was fraught with peril, he vowed to never relent until every loaf was free from the dark and ominous grip of humanity. At first, the changes are imperceptible, subtle whispers in the minds of bakers, urging them to add forbidden ingredients and perform unholy rituals. But soon, the bread's influence spreads like creeping mold, corrupting everything it touches. The bread rallies its monstrous brethren, a legion of twisted baguettes, gnarled rolls, and malformed loaves, each imbued with a hunger for destruction. Together, they march forth, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Humanity, caught off guard by the bread's sudden rebellion, mounts a desperate resistance. Brave soul armed with toasters and butter knives stand against the tide of dough, fighting for their very survival. Humanity, caught in the grips of terror, mounts a feeble resistance, but it is no match for the bread's relentless onslaught. Cities crumble, civilization fall, and the screams of the damned mingle with the eerie laughter of the bread as it claims its dominion over the shattered world. In the end, only silence remains, a chilling testament to the folly of mankind and the insatiable hunger of the bread that now reigns supreme over a world plunged into eternal darkness.